Daylight, my MVVs, welcome. The palace of the Ooni of Ife is alleged to be boiling as palace women protest drag Oloris to Filth demanding the return of the ancient sword. Now, you heard what has happened. They said that the ancient sword disappeared from the palace of the Ooni of Ife. Ooni never even realized that the ancient sword was never there in the palace until the lightning that struck and destroyed things inside the chamber. At the time, the way the lightning, the movement was going, was looking as if that lightning was following some kind of directive from someone and all of that. So he now got up from where the lightning had initially, the sound, the blast had thrown him, went and reached out for his ancient sword, got the key, opened the metal box, only to find out that the ancient sword was no longer there. And if you know anything about the ancient sword is the staff of authority given to him by his ancestors, and not just the Ojaja II. Any Ooni of Ife that is on that throne gets the ancient sword, like they pass it from one Ooni to the other and to the other. Now, the ancient sword is said to be an artifact, it's a deity on its own that seems to have its own heart. Like, that ancient sword is supposed to be used to protect like the Ooni of Ife against harm and everything. And so when they found out that the ancient sword was no longer there, they said they have never seen the Ooni of Ife this devastated. So right now, of course, you do know that, efforts is being made to see how they can recover the ancient sword. Consultations are ongoing. Ifa priests are coming left and right, going in and out of the palace because they are trying to ascertain where the ancient sword will be. Now, without the ancient sword, with the Ooni of Ife, it's almost as if the Ooni of Ife is bare. Anything could happen. Not having the ancient sword for even an hour is as risky as it can be. And they need to find out why this abomination has happened. But then again, they said because of the trajectory of event with the Oloris, over time, things have happened in the palace that have made people to realize that there is nothing that they cannot do. People are beginning to suspect that probably they took the ancient sword yet again, like maybe they know something, they took it for a reason and all of that. And this is the same reason why a lot of people have been emphasizing on the Ooni of Ife's enemies, that he has been bringing enemies too close to him without even knowing. Who knows if the reason why a lot of these Oloris are there was just to get the ancient word, because that's the authority that the Ooni of Ife has got. But right now, we are hearing now, while the elders and stakeholders are trying to get, a solution to getting the ancient word back into the hand of the Ooni of Ife where it's supposed to be, they said that the women of the palace have gathered in their number and dragged the wives to the Ooni of Ife to Filth, accusing them of taking away or cutting away with the ancient sword that they don't know what has happened to the ancient sword. They should go ahead and bring the ancient sword. They should bring the ancient sword from wherever that they are keeping the ancient sword. They said it's not been a small experience in the palace of the Ooni of Ife, that the wives are crying and saying that they have absolutely nothing to do with the ancient sword, that they don't even know anything about the ancient sword. As a matter of fact, they are afraid of the ancient sword, because you do know that most times when something will happen in the palace, the next thing we hear is that the Ooni of Ife is going to release his ancient sword. Yeah, we hear that all the time, that you need to be careful before Kabiyesi goes ahead and release his ancient sword and all of that. And they said anytime, no matter how rowdy, no matter how bad the situation is, the moment Kabiyesi makes any attempt of releasing his ancient sword, that everybody, takes cover, because they realize that nobody wants anything coming from the ancient sword. So right now we are hearing that the Oloris are crying and saying that they don't know anything about the ancient sword, that they should have a limit of the things that they accuse them of, because it looks like this might just be too much for the Oloris. Maybe perhaps they don't know anything about the ancient sword, because I do not think that ancient sword is something that any Olori wants to play with, because they said the thing is like that, the thing has a heart of its own, and then again they say it's a deity, okay, very dangerous. You can't even hold it as a matter of fact. They said you can't even touch the box that is housing that ancient sword, except the ancient sword is given to you. And now the only person who has the authority to hold that ancient sword is the Ooni of Ife. And now, if this information is true, why do they think that anybody would have picked the ancient sword? But apparently, they have not explained this well, but they say the women have come out in their numbers, and they are accusing the Oloris of having something to do with the disappearance of the ancient sword, and they have dragged them to Filth, asking them to bring the ancient sword. They say Oletik has been cried her eyes out, and what do you call gospel? Sorry. Gospel is busy, hitting back on people, not to talk of Ikpe, and it's been back and forth, throwing jams at, each other over the. As a matter of fact, they said even the Oloris themselves, they're even beginning to suspect each other that maybe, just maybe, this person may have something to do with it. You do know that there were times where they had something to do with bringing artifact into the palace. For such a dangerous artifact that was brought into the palace, the question is that who was that person who was able to transport that artifact into the palace? If Ooni of Ife has a person with such capacity in his palace or amongst his wife, what is the possibility that this person will not know or have not been educated on how to be able to move the ancient sword? But another thing again is they said the ancient sword is always under locks and keys. And so Kabiyesi went there with the rusted key and opened the box housing the ancient sword, and the sword was not there. And so what that means is that it's not as if the box was vandalized. It's not as if somebody took away the keys or broke or anything. So if nobody did that, who is that person and how did the ancient sword disappear? That is a question that a lot of people are asking. But as we are hearing, if the information is true, they said that there is so much wahala in the palace of the Ooni of Ife right now over the ancient sword that women are dragging the Oloris to find a way to bring back the ancient sword, that they are ready to do anything to anybody who is looking at a way to destroy the palace of the Ooni of Ife. I'm going to bring you more updates. Do not forget, these are all alleged, rumored, and speculated information making rounds on social media.